is Mindset Monday. Let's get this thing started up. Great to have you guys. All right, hope you guys are ready for Mindset Monday.
The Ferocious Optimist Podcast.
Woo, fired up today, baby. It is Monday. Mindset Monday, Motivation Monday.
To the Ferocious
whatever you want to call it.
Optimist Podcast.
Pump it up. Get those emoji hands together. Let's get this friggin' thing going. All right, great to have you guys here. Great to be here on this Monday. Absolutely awesome. It is Mindset Monday. We've got a great show today. Hopefully everyone is doing very well, has recovered from the weekend, and is ready to rock and roll. Let me see here. We're going to get this thing going. Like I said, it is Mindset Monday, Motivation Monday, as some of you call it. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about the 7 forces, okay? The 7 forces of ferocious optimism. And I'm just going to jump right into it because there's a taste that floods your mouth right before you think you're going to die, okay? I didn't know what that taste was for 11 years, and nobody could tell me. Not a corpsman, not a doctor, nobody that I spoke with knew about it. Not at the VA, nothing, okay? Then one time, I was giving a talk in New York City talking about ferocious optimism and about fear and about all the things I talked to you guys about on Mindset Mondays. And it took a doctor in the back rows of a big event that I was speaking at, a large audience in New York City, to finally tell me what this was, okay? And what he said really changed the way I thought about what happened to me and what was happening through my body. It changed the way I coach executives and people I work with since then. Okay. And I'm going to tell you the whole story, but not yet. Not the full thing tonight. I'll get to the whole story. I'll tell some of it later. Okay. Because that taste, that alkaline taste that I tasted in my mouth in a moment where I really thought that I was going to die, I thought, this was the end. I thought it was over. The taste is not the point. What the point is what I did in the next 4 seconds, 2 seconds really, after I tasted that. And the reason that I could do it is the only thing I have ever really had that was worth teaching. And I've distilled it all down here into these 7 forces of ferocious optimism, okay? Tonight I'm going to give you the whole operating system, the 7 forces, every single one of them attached to a story that I've actually lived, all right? Including that one I just talked about, that alkaline taste in your mouth that you get before your body, before your mind, before you think you're actually going to die, okay? So you can see the mechanism working, how these things work in the 7 forces, and not just hear the words. By the end of tonight, you're going to be able to name exactly what wall, and I'm going to talk to you guys about there are 3 walls that you're stuck behind right now. And you'll know which one of the 7 forces will actually break it for you, okay? Because most people are throwing the wrong tool, they're using the wrong strategy at the wrong wall. And that's why they've been stuck there for years, okay? Stay into the end. It's going to be a great show. The 7th force, I'll say this up front, is the one that holds the other 6 together, okay? And it's the one I added last. I've told some of you about it before. Some of you have come to my private seminars. You've seen it, okay? And I've talked about it in here before too. But stick around, and you're going to find out, okay? I added this last force really after contemplating for almost 23 years in the Marine Corps and then 8 years out, okay? So here's the big frame on this. There are 3 walls that we're going to talk about. But first of all, I want to say that everybody thinks their whole problem is a courage problem. And courage can be a problem for some people. But almost nobody has only a courage problem, okay? That's not actually what's going on with most people. And I'll tell you, for years, I taught fear, that fear was the only thing you had to get through. Courage was everything. You had to step through fear. Fear is the signal. Keep fear close. And all of that is still true today, okay? And I'll prove it tonight. I'll prove it to you tonight with some of the stories that I'm going to talk about. Some stories that still can get to me too, all right? But I kept watching people, brave men and women, do things, being brave, acting courageous, stepping through the barrier of fear, but then still getting stuck, okay? Especially in my coaching practice. watching people. They made the hard call. They quit the job. They started the company. They stepped through the fear, and then 18 months later, 15 months later, didn't matter, they'd be on the floor and they'd be stuck. So fear was not the wall that got them. It wasn't the only wall, okay? It was many other things. So not just that. Fear was just the first wall. So wall number one, let's talk about this, the courage wall. You know what to do. You're able to do it, but you're afraid to, okay? You won't do it because you're afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of being judged, afraid of being exposed, not being good enough, and afraid of being pushed out of the tribe because you're not good enough. You lose status, you lose respect. People, you don't have the same community you had before because you feel like you're being laughed at or you're not as significant, not as respected, okay? The tool to get out of this is identity, mindset, energy, and faith to produce courage. We're going to talk about that. But remember, courage is not the tool. Courage is not the force. It's the output. Then there's wall number two. Wall number two is the competence wall, the skill wall, okay? You're not afraid. You're willing. You went through wall number one, fear. You stepped over it. You're willing, but you simply don't know how. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to really get started on this new thing. You're ignorant of the skill. And so actually fear pops back up again as well too. It's not the thing stopping you now, but it's a competence wall, truly. The system, the trade, the market, the mechanism. No amount of courage is simply going to fix the ignorance. You got to gain the skills. You got to get it done, right? You got to gain the abilities and the skills. You can't brave your way or out-courage your way into knowing something, okay? So the tool here is environment and mindset. These are the 7 forces: environment, mindset. You've got to go to where the knowledge lives and get around people who already have it. You have to have the mindset also to persevere when it gets tough to solve the problem. Remember, courage without competence is just a faster way to fail, okay? And then there's the third wall. And the third wall, and this is the one that kills a lot of people. It holds you back, okay? You're not afraid. You know how. You're doing the work, and you're doing it correctly every day, but nothing is happening. No results, no signal. Remember the story of Chinese bamboo? The Chinese bamboo in the forest, okay? No return. Month 11, month 26, and your nervous system starts to scream at you that you're wasting life, and fear of failure builds up to intolerable levels. You're a mess, and it hurts, and it's scary, okay? And you're like, I'm running out of time, running out of money, I'm wasting my energy, I'm focused on this, it's hard. I don't know if I can last. The tool here is energy, mindset, deep driving purpose, and faith, okay? Perseverance, patience, delayed gratification, grit. This wall is not going to be broken. It's going to be outlasted. You're going to find a way around it, over it, under it, okay? This is the endurance wall. That's the third wall, okay? So here's what makes the 7 forces different. 6 of the forces are working for you, and 1 of them is working against you. Identity, mindset, energy, environment, purpose, and faith, okay? These 6 generate force. They push. Fear is the counterforce. This is the one working against you. Fear is the resistance that the other 6 forces actually push against. So why is fear on the list at all? Well, because you cannot manage a force you refuse to name, okay? Fear is on the list the way the enemy is on the map, okay? Not because he's on your side, but because you don't get to do a plan without him. But I will tell you this, fear is on your side as a signal. It's a signal that if you do this thing, if you take on this challenge, you will grow and you will get stronger. Okay? All right, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Let me jump right in the chat right now and give some shout outs really fast for all you guys here. Had a lot of early birds today. Great to have you guys. And first of all, we're going to give a big round of applause to the best chat in YouTube. Get this party started right now. Awesome to have you guys here. Give yourselves a big round of applause. And hopefully you can hear it. There it is. Big round of applause. Best chat on YouTube. All right, guys. And I want to give a big round of applause as well. Big round of applause to all of our members out there. I appreciate your membership, appreciate your support so much. It means so much. Let's get it going. Big round of applause for all the members out there. All you guys. Thank you very much. All right. I see all the emoji hands together. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Subscribing really helps a lot, helps us to get more and more guests here, attract bigger and bigger and more guests that are outside of my immediate circle. So they see the channel and they say, okay, I want to be on there, right? And the promise is I'm going to continue to go after guests that you guys will be interested in, that you want me to go after. So let's keep on growing the channel, keep on growing the movement. And I want to give a big round of applause also to all of my gold and platinum members. Freedom, Cherry, and Buff. Appreciate you guys very much. Appreciate all my gold members as well, too. Big round of applause. I got a little delayed cheering right now for the emoji. Put the emoji hands together. All right. All right, guys. Jump in here and say what's up to everybody, and then we're going to get this thing going. Lady Ann in the first position once more. Great to have you. Lisa, what's going on? Mark, what's going on? Good to have you. Green Buzz and Farm, awesome. Good to have you here. Glad you're here in here right on time. Let's see who else is here. Matt Burns here. What's going on, Keith? Jasmine's here. What's going on, Jasmine? Good to have you. Glad you made it. Glad you're able to make it. What's up, Juan Wick? Good to have you. Let's see who else is in here. Six's Mom's here. What's going on, Six's Mom from Kauai? Awesome to have you. Guys, drop where you are watching from in the chat. I want to see where everybody's calling in from. I know Mark's out in Pittsburgh. I know Jasmine's up in Canada. I want to see Six's Mom's in Kauai, but drop it in there. Let me see who else, where everybody's calling in from. Or I should say dialing in from, watching from. Let's see who else is here. All right, Jason's here. What's going on, Jason? Good to have you. Glad you made it. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing going. Buff's here. What's going on, Buff? Great to have you. Rockford, Illinois. Keith Riggle. Awesome. Okay. Jasmine of Canada. Woo! Mariana Trench, man. Nice. Submarine. Literally, maybe. Connecticut. Buff's from Connecticut. Humboldt County, California. Matt Byrne. California, Lady Ann. Alexandria, Virginia. DMV Iron. Lisa Jones. Say what's up to Leo for me. All right. Awesome. Appreciate you guys watching and being here today. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. Let's fire it up. Let's fire it up. We're going to get a little bit of the music going right now. Fire it up. Here we go. Get a little sip of your favorite beverage, whatever it is right now. And let's get ready to rock and roll. 7 Forces of Ferocious Optimism.
Drop. Go.
All right. Here we go.
Move.
It is Mindset Monday, Motivation Monday, baby. Fire it up. All right. This is how we do it. Warrior Wednesday is a little more serious. And I've got a treat for you guys on Warrior Wednesday, by the way. Just confirmed, Admiral Mike Studman is going to come and speak to us about China, Taiwan, and U.S. Chinese strategy for the U.S. and for Taiwan. He is a China expert. That's going to be on Warrior Wednesday, this Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you're here for that. I was able to get him on the show. No kidding, U.S. Navy Admiral, going to be live with us on Wednesday. And he is one of the foremost China experts in the country, and it'll be really great. So I'm going to have a great time having him on the show, and be here for Wednesday. It's going to be fantastic, Warrior Wednesday. But today is Mindset Monday, so let's get the hell into it. Let's do this. Stay fired up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Get everybody here. I'm going to go nuts today. It's going to be great. I'm going to tell you guys some personal stories too, and I'm going to do my best to connect all the dots for you guys so you guys are all tracking, and it's going to be high value. So like, subscribe, share. If you know somebody that's going to want to be in here today, tell them now. We're about to get it going. So let's go. Here we go. All right. Let's talk about force number 1, identity, okay? I've told some of you guys this story before, but at one point when I was 14 years old, just starting out to play football, okay, my parents had gotten divorced, and frankly, football became a thing for me and sports became my identity, became something I was really holding on to get me out of my situation, to make a difference, to become somebody, right? To know that I mattered. And I started getting pretty good in sports. I was distracted in school. I've told the story before because I think, I had a lot of anger still. Family got broken up. We moved away from my hometown, my area. And so, I kind of had a lot of rage and a lot of anger. And so one day, I'm 14, freshman in high school, and a coach looked me in the face and told me that I would never make it. I would never play major college football, Division I football. And, that it really killed me because one of my friends asked him, said, "Hey, coach, do you think Ben will make it?" And a lot of my teammates believed in me, okay? And he looked and he asked me flat out, he said, "How many touchdowns did you have this year?" Now, the truth is I didn't have any touchdowns that year because I got injured, okay? And I was a running back and I couldn't do anything. I hurt my foot. And he's like, "Nope, you'll never make it. You'll never make it. Nope, never. Never." Like very grimly, like, hey, maybe you never know. Like most coaches do. You just like this, very grim. "Nope, no, you'll never make it. No way, never make it." I was devastated. I saw people laughing and smiling, and these are kids who, frankly, I could rip their heads off, and I was like devastated. I've told the story before. A few of you heard it before on my Saturday seminars that I've done before. But as a 14-year-old kid who's trying to find something, you're holding on to something that you can pour yourself into because school's not going well, right? Frankly, I got put into this smart kid program, got kicked out because I was distracted. I couldn't think. I couldn't do my homework, or I wouldn't do my homework or whatever. I just wasn't able to do well. I was in like this gifted program, got kicked out. Okay. And so what did take, though, was sports, football, lacrosse. It took to me because I could get my energy out. I could focus in the field. And I found like the physical contact was good. And I felt very good and at peace afterwards. So for this coach to say this to me was devastating. I'm talking to you guys right now about force number one. I'm talking to you about force number one right now, identity, okay? Because this coach was dead wrong. He did not know what I had inside me. He didn't know who I knew I was, even at 14, okay? And you could say my mom and dad put it there. You could say parents put it there. You could say stories I'd read, put it there. Lots of things do it, okay? Someone did something right, okay? I'm not so, brash to think at 14 I figured it all out myself. But the thing was this. At this young age, at this moment, I realized I was being completely tested for life. It was like door number one or door number two. Door number one, believe him, door number one, and take this path of mediocrity, learned helplessness, learn that I'm helpless because the coach says I am, says I can't, so I may as well not try. I may as well not strive, not take the pain, not do the work. I'm not going to make it anyway, so why bother? Who knows what would have happened if I went through door number one. Door number two was F you, buddy. F freaking you. F you, buddy. That was door number two. I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to make it. And every single practice, every single weight session, everything I do is going to be all about me proving you wrong. And that's it. I had such a fire in me, and I chose door number two. To tell you I was upset is an understatement. I remember talking to my brother about it, and he was like, "Hey, screw that guy. You're going to do it, and you're going to make it, and you're going to figure it out," and all this stuff like that, okay? And but inside, I was really hurting, and plus, being injured at the time too made it even worse because I had to wait to heal before I could really pour myself into it. So it was like a burning hot coal inside. But I'm telling you, at that moment was one of the most defining moments of understanding identity in my life. I didn't know what to call it back then. I knew it as destiny, as knowing who I was, knowing who I was going to become, and not letting anybody tell me who I was going to become, all those things, okay? But I chose to fight. And so all through high school, I worked so hard. I think these are very valuable stories, okay? Because we go back to this visceral time, it was my origin story, right? What formed me? What formed me later to go into the Marine Corps, Marine Infantry, Marine Force Recon, Marine Raiders, to do all this stuff, to go into combat and to do it again, to volunteer to go. No one made me. I could have gotten out. I was already, my commitment was up. I re-upped to go in, to go to combat, right? My time in service was already done. So all these things, though, what drove me, and again, I go back to this formative time in high school, identity. I worked so hard, so furiously, and I will tell you one thing, too, is that, I even, in the summers, I just got my license at 16. Okay, it was I was training at 4 a.m. in the summers before my junior year. Burning desire to prove to this guy, to show him. And not just him, but anybody who was doubting me, which was a lot of people, frankly. You all been in high school. You probably have kids, brothers and sisters. You know how it is. People are all cutting at each other, making fun of each other. I went into the zone. I went into like the monastery, like the football monk, warrior monk at a young age, 16. Up at 4 a.m. training in the gym, in bed by 8 p.m., okay? Talk about sacrifice. Talk about discipline and all-in commitment. I knew that at least if I didn't make it, I was never going to have to say it wasn't because I gave everything I had. I knew the only way I'd have a chance is if I gave everything I had, okay? I wasn't 6'6", 280, running a 4.5 40. There are kids in high school like that, okay? I've coached some of them. And sometimes the problem with these kids is that then they don't want it. You're like, what do you mean you don't want it? The sports gods have blessed you. What are you doing? And they're like, well, I don't know if I want to play football. I don't know if I want to play basketball. Like, what? You're 6'6", 280, and you run a 4.6. What's wrong with you? Anyway, so that wasn't me, though. I had to be a demon on the field. I had to be an absolute tiger, and that's what I set out to do. So fast forward, my junior year, I beat out 5 or 6 linebackers for the starting position as a linebacker. Obviously, they had another inside linebacker for them as well, for someone else to get. But it taught me a tremendous amount about discipline, focus, sacrifice, all in. While my friends were out partying and having a great time, just had their driver's licenses that summer, I was training like a Marine already, a football Marine, okay? And so I banked every bit of pain he gave me, and I let it intensify my identity. I grew the identity. I nurtured it. Like Michael Jordan nurturing grievances, I nurtured this. I was like, I'm going to show him. I'm going to get him, okay? I didn't build my life out of spite. What I did was I let it fire harden my identity, who I knew I was, okay? Fast forward, long story short, not bragging about things here, but I ended up being team captain, being an all-state linebacker, getting a lot MVP of my team, being a lot of accolades, all this stuff like that, okay? And had a few offers to play college football, play Division I football. One of them was for the U.S. Naval Academy. After a visit, I decided to go and take that offer and play for them, okay? But now I want to talk about the second part of this identity story, okay? So I got to the Naval Academy, and I had to fight my ass off. Everyone there is all-state. Everyone there is a team captain. Everyone there is all this, all that. Some of them were all-American. Some of my good friends were all-Americans in Texas, state of Texas. The top-level football you can get, right? Florida and Texas. Everybody's amazing. I had to work my tail off even harder to just stay in the room, just to keep up with everybody, okay? Years of grinding. Years. Now we're talking resetting again as a freshman, right? Again, I wasn't the 6'6", 280 guy, okay? There were some of them there. But I knew I'm going to set my mind to it just like before, and I'm going to do it. My junior year, I set my goal. Junior, senior year, I'm going to be playing a lot. And that's it. I get to my junior year, the moment my coach finally tells me, Ben, you're going to be one of my linebackers. Coach Richard Bell, God bless him, rest in peace. He just recently passed away. He was a coach at University of South Carolina as well, head coach, SEC coach, coached us at the Naval Academy, defensive coordinator, great guy, mentor, amazing. Goal was achieved my junior year, okay? I was going to be rotating in at linebacker. I was on all the special teams, all the stuff like that. And I made it from the horse's mouth. You're going to be one of my linebackers. About a week later, I had a career-ending injury, okay? I was already hurt before that and playing through it, and then it was done. It was a neck injury. There's no coming back, right? It was a neck injury. Doctor sat me down, and basically, long story short, told me my career was over. Okay. If I took another hit like that, if I did that, I'd be a quadriplegic, and that would be it. So what got taken from me in that moment was a lot. It wasn't just a sport that you can see here. It wasn't a season. I had already put my entire identity into being a football player, into being this thing, being this person. And when football went, my identity went with it. I was devastated, beyond devastated. There was no coming back from it. Everything I had trained for 8 or 9 years was gone. The collapse and the rebuild, the other coach who told me I couldn't, then I did it. I thought it was my destiny, okay? So the second time is when my identity really got attacked. And this time, there was no one to be angry with. There was no coach to prove wrong. It was just gone. But I will tell you, in this moment of crying alone in my bed at night, being in so much pain, I couldn't feel my left arm. I went from being so strong to not even being able to, do one pull-up, not even be able to bench press 135, nothing. My arm just didn't work, okay? I didn't even know if I was going to be able to service select Marine Corps, out of the Naval Academy, anything. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to get kicked out. Who knew, okay? But underneath all of that, in that time, and that struggle, and I will tell you, the late nights alone, crying in my bed at night, tears streaming down my eyes, and I can still remember, I recently saw my old college roommate, who now is a Navy captain, about to pin on Admiral. It's not the same Admiral coming Wednesday, different one. But, him being in there with me and just asking me, hey, you okay? Okay. And me just saying, yeah, but tears streaming down my face at night. The pain, the suffering, my identity, what now? But what I found underneath all of it was the thing I actually built from the beginning when that coach said that to me. And probably even before then, when I was a little kid, facing, tough times, bullies, stuff like that. But I was not the football player. I was a warrior inside. I was the guy who finds a way. I was the guy who does not quit. I was the guy who would choose hardship on purpose over and over to pull out whatever was actually in there. Okay? That is an internal identity, and nobody can take that from you. Nobody could take that from me. In that moment, I realized that. This is what it's been about all the whole time. If you attach your identity to external things, they can be taken from you. You'll suffer more. You'll feel the pain, the loss. But when you attach your identity to something internal, like your attitude, your focus, your grit, your perseverance, the things you can control, they can't take that from you. They cannot take the man. They cannot take the woman. They cannot take the spirit. They can't take that from you, okay? And we got awesome. We got a LJ getting into gold, upgrading to gold. Welcome aboard. Big round of applause real quick here. Big round of applause. Welcome to gold. Great to have you. Make sure. EJ. Great to have you, EJ. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Gotta zoom in. Awesome. But this is what they cannot take from you guys, okay? They cannot take your internal identity. Nobody can take that from you. I rehabbed the football injury specifically. Then after that, I got to work. I said, what now? What now? One thing for sure, I stayed on the team as a coach, and I coached the linebackers, freshman linebackers, junior linebackers. I coached as an assistant linebacker coach to my coach, which proved very valuable as a leadership lesson. I had an awesome coach, absolutely great guy, former Ranger. I think his dad was a plank owner in Delta Force, taught me a lot about leadership. Coach Ray, okay? Coach Ray was a great, great man. And he took me aside and said, what do you want to do? And basically mentored me and said, stay. You've come so far. Don't leave now. Don't leave the Naval Academy. I was ready to leave, try to go to combat, try to do whatever I could to get out of there and get in the fight. Right? I was just so angry. I was so broken up over this. He convinced me to stay. A little mentorship goes a long way, right? I'm very grateful for that still to this day. But I knew what I needed to do. Stay where I was, become the leader I'm meant to be. Again, identity, okay? Graduate from the Naval Academy. So I knew I had to rehab my football injury to be eligible to compete for the Marine Corps, okay? And be ready for the basic school. So I was lucky enough to be able to rehab my injury enough that they let me service select Marine Corps. I went through training, worked hard, focused, sacrificed, and earned an infantry slot to be an infantry officer, okay? In the infantry officer course, again, focused, worked my ass off, became the top graduate from the infantry officer course, Wheeler Award winner, all this stuff, all right? Went to 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines, and then 1st Force Reconnaissance Company, okay? I had to do selection assessment for 1st Force Reconnaissance Company. Along the way, I'm building a new identity. Again, the person will never quit, the person who does what it takes to fulfill my vision of becoming a warrior, okay? The point of this is that identity is not a discovery. It's a construction project, okay? You start with the vision, the intention, the passion, and you start building and knowing who you're supposed to be. You're the person who's going to do this, will never quit. You're going to set your mind to it. And in the process, you construct yourself into that person. Every one of these things I did afterwards was a construction process to really rebuild my identity around the core being I'm the person who figures it out. I'm the person who never quits. I'm the person that's going to keep going, that no one can stop me, okay? I'm going to keep on going, that I'll never stop myself. I'll never quit. And it's a big, big thing. The guy who finds a way, the guy who doesn't quit, the guy who would choose hardship on purpose over and over to pull out whatever actually was inside me to reach my full potential. And once you get down to that, you can keep going. You got something to rest on. And you can build the rest of the scaffolding, the building around that core and around that framework, around that frame, okay? So here's what this means for you if you've never worn the uniform in your life. If your identity is attached to a title, a company, a revenue number, a role, a marriage, a body, the day that thing moves away from you, okay, you do not lose a thing. You're going to lose yourself because you lost whatever that was and you were attached to it. And I've coached executives at the top of the food chain, okay, who are completely undone by a reorganization because the reorg did not take their job, okay? It took their identity or something in the process. They have a bad few quarters. They're no longer top dog. Top dog was their identity, okay? Instead of breaking it down to a lower level, the next few levels, seeing that what's beneath being top dog according to someone else's judgment. And they found out that it was grit, perseverance, mindset, focus, striving, the one who never quits, kind of like me, okay? The same type of way. Guys, give me a 1 in the chat if you've been in a situation like this where your identity has been completely challenged. I want to hear about it. Tell me here in the chat, have you been in a situation, give me a 1 in the chat if you've been in a situation where something was taken away from you that your identity was attached to that was really painful. Give me a 1 in the chat. And give me a 0 if it wasn't. Okay, I want to find out who's been there themselves. And so you need to ask yourself a question tonight. If the title came off tomorrow, or if this thing ended that you hang your identity on, what is left? If the answer is nothing, that's not a career problem, okay? Or it's not a relationship problem. It's the most urgent problem in your life, and you should treat it that way. You need to build the internal identity. I am the one who finds a way. I am the one who does not quit. I am the one who goes and gets the skill, who learns the new skill, learns the ability. If you build that identity that way, something that you can control, okay? You build that, and every wall that I've already talked about gets shorter and shorter for you, okay? It gets shorter and shorter. All right, let's see here. Yep, Mad's had it. EJ's had it. Lady Ann's had it. Matt Burns had it. Lisa's had it. Keith's had it. Mark's had it. Jonathan's had it. Hey, I love it. I love it. Thanks, Jonathan. Let's make those shirts. Jasmine's had it. Yep. Stoned Actual's had it. What's up, Stoned Actual? Good to have you. Yep. See, so guys, go back to this time in your life and think about what would protect you so that you don't get completely destroyed. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. It's still going to hurt. I'm not saying it's not going to be fun. I'm not saying the pain's going to be real. But when I tell you, when your identity gets crushed and you go adrift, it's a whole nother world, a whole other ballgame. You start to question your existence. You start to question whether you are worthy. You start to question what is your purpose and mission in life. We don't want to get there. We want to find a new mission, a new life. I want to find a new mission, a new purpose, a new goal, and we want to drive forward, okay? With our identity intact, that identity that I'm the one that figures it out. I'm the one that never quits. I'm the one that's going to find a way, okay? And it's going to be attached to one of our other forces we're going to talk about later, and that's faith, all right? So, guys, if you're watching this and you already know the title came off or your identity took a big hit in something, okay? Or you can feel that it's about to, that is exactly the work we do inside my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community, okay? It's where you rebuild the internal identity before circumstances does something to you, okay? Or does it for you, makes you feel the pain and suffer. We build it ahead of time. We strengthen, reinforce that identity. The link is pinned in the chat right now, and it's also in the description too. So go ahead and check that out. Would love to have you join the community and join the membership right now. It'd be awesome. Well, let's talk about force number 2, okay? Force number 2 is fear. Fear is the counter force. You don't eliminate it. You name it, you rank it, you step through it, okay? Because it's really a proximity alarm for growth. So I'm going to tie back to what I told you guys in the beginning. I told you at the top of the stream about a taste in my mouth. Let me take you there right now. The taste in my mouth, where that came from, okay? That wasn't the first time I'd felt really crazy fear. I felt really crazy fear another time, okay? I was in the south side of Chicago with my brother, and I got jumped coming off the L train late at night, like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And that was the first time I felt really like real fear, like existential fear. Not like fear like I might get a little beaten up or embarrassed or this might be scary. Like real fear like this is it, okay? I was 17 when that happened. So fear wasn't new to me, just so you have an idea. I've already felt some existential, like mortal fear, okay? But I want to talk to you guys about when I felt that alkaline taste in my mouth on a combat mission in Iraq in 2004, okay? I was on a sniper mission in a 4-man team outside the wire. It was during Operation Phantom Fury. I was not a part of that operation, but we were doing supporting effort operations outside of Abu Ghraib in the Ansar wa Salam, Zaydan area, if anyone's familiar with that. Already at this time, there were sniper teams that had been overrun recently. Okay, around that time frame. It was 2004 time frame. So pretty scary. And so you might ask as well too, so what's a captain doing on the 4-man sniper team? Well, my chief scout asked me before we went out, actually beforehand, the mission said, Corporal so-and-so is getting short right now and has a bad feeling about this mission. He's about to go home in 2 weeks. He had to leave for whatever reason from our deployment. And he said, will you come in the team and take up his spot? Because he trusted me. We had a great relationship. They had already done some raids with me and things like that with my raid force. And they were guys that I was familiar with, and I was their leader as well too. And I said, yeah, of course. If not me, then who, right? Who wants to go on this 4-man stay-behind sniper mission to eliminate an IED emplacer, right? Sounds really cool. Like I said, like we've joked before on this channel, and I've joked with Jake before and so on, other people. Everybody wants to do the cool, crazy stuff until it's time to do cool, crazy stuff, right? Everybody, says, wow, cool. It's not so cool when you're actually strapping it up and you're in there and you're alone with 4 people in the middle of a city looking for a sniper who's trying to plant bombs and looking for an IED emplacer, okay? So long story short, we get in there. We end up getting compromised, okay? Somehow we got compromised. Locals found out. We ended up getting surrounded, okay? I'm not going to go into all the nitty-gritty details. There's not the appropriate place right now for it. But the thing that happened when I realized we were surrounded and they knew we were there, we were not hidden anymore. It was no longer clandestine. Okay. And they were starting to maneuver on us. Alkaline taste flooded my mouth and a fear washed over my body that I cannot explain. Okay. And thank God I had the fear before because I knew what it was. Right. And I saw tunnel vision starting to happen. Like you start getting like this crazy tunnel vision. It's fight or flight mechanism that's happening. And you feel this taste. I tasted this taste like I'd lick batteries or it was blood in my mouth or something, but it wasn't. Your vision narrows, tunnel vision, closing from the edges. For a split second, I couldn't think, but I knew I had to because I was in charge. I was the leader. It was on me. What were we going to do? They were maneuvering on us. They were trying to break into our compound. They were smashing in doors. We had things barricaded. They were coming through. Okay? What I couldn't do, I couldn't let myself and my guys and everybody get wiped out, number one. Number two, I couldn't just start killing everybody indiscriminately. Okay? Both are non-choices. So in that split second, I knew I had to take control, and the first thing I did was go back to my breath. I went to my breath. I started breathing. I took some deep combat breathing, deep breaths, okay? I knew I needed to gain control. All the way back from when I was a kid doing martial arts, go to your breath when you're in a fight. Get your head back. Don't lose your head. There's a thing in Greek, ancient Greek, they call catalepsis. Catalepsis is bloodlust and blood rage. You can't think, and you just go nuts, and all you do is start just trying to attack everything, but you're losing your problem-solving capability. I knew I had to keep my wits about me, and so I went to my breath. And that was it, going to my breath, and then I took the next best action that I could, okay? The long story short, your thinking comes back online through the breathing. My thinking came back online, okay? Your aperture opens back up. You can think. Fear is truly you're going to kill your ability to think. Fear is the mind killer, okay? You need to be able to fight off the fear, fight through it. And this is where you can see mindset and emotional control, combat mindset fights against fear from overwhelming you, okay? My body was trying to help me to go into fight or flight, to win what it thought was going to be really bad. No one could tell me for so long what that was until I gave that speech in New York City. And the doctor pulled me aside after I got done speaking. He said, that taste is adrenaline. He said, it happens when your mind and your body truly believe you're about to fight to the death. And it's flooding you with adrenaline so you don't feel pain. You can do extraordinary acts of heroic feats, savage feats of strength. He said, your body was getting flooded. He said, you taste it like that only when it's truly flooding it. Your caveman brain, your primal brain takes over and floods your body with adrenaline, okay? So thanks to him, I knew what it was. Then I made a decision, though, in the course of this time to make the next best move I could. The next best move. The bottom line is this. Because I remained calm through this breathing, through recognizing fear, through fighting against the fear from taking me over, which would have taken everything, okay? Either we would have wiped everybody out or they would have wiped us out. Or because we took an action, they took a reaction 10 times even worse, and we're dead or they're dead. Everything's bad. Okay, the bottom line is I needed to get us out of there. And because I remained calm, we did not overreact. We didn't start overreacting, shooting everyone, and in the process, probably making things even worse. We followed the rules of engagement, stayed professional, and we held out until the QRF arrived. Okay, and everyone was okay. The restraint under that much fear is the actual leadership lesson I'm trying to talk about right now, which most people miss. I can't tell you how many times I've heard things where fear triggers a shooting. Fear triggers shooting the wrong people, which then causes a reaction. And they shoot back. You shoot more. They shoot more. Casualties on both sides. It's a bad situation that maybe could have been avoided. Okay? So when I gave that speech and the doctor told me what that was, I felt some relief because it was the first time that I actually knew. It was very validating. It was like sometimes I was like, did I imagine that? No, I didn't. Okay? The fear was real. My mind was prepared to fight to the death. That's what was happening, okay? And I told my guys as much as that too. I said, hey, it's us or them. It's us or them. And we're going to get the hell out of here. Okay. But thinking man's game. And I needed to get a clear hold of the reins. Okay. Because you unleash a couple Marines with weapons and say, us or them, you're, as a leader, you know what you're going to get. Okay. So I had to tightly control everything. And it all worked out. Okay. In the end, all worked out. Everybody was fine. No stupid things happened. So this is the thing. There are a couple fears that overwhelm us that we have to fight against, okay? Fear number one, the fear of not being good enough. In this case for me, clearly it wasn't the fear of not being good enough, but it was such a combination of, yeah, I guess fear of doing the wrong thing, fear of obviously being killed. That's what was number one. That's what was overwhelming me. And then stacked beneath that was, okay, well, if we fight like crazy, we won't be killed, but what if we wipe out everybody and they say it's unjustified, or they say, yeah, you could have held off a little more or something like that, right? Tight control. You have to have tight control over these situations. So number one fear is fear of not being good enough. But there's also then the fear of starting, which happens when you feel like you're not good enough. Okay? You never begin, zero data, zero failure, zero life. Okay? This is the most expensive fear on earth, and it's completely invisible. Because nothing happens and nothing is exactly what it looks like, right? So you just don't start because you feel a fear of failure. So you don't start at all. All right. Number two, fear of criticism, fear of shame, and therefore losing respect, status, losing your place in the tribe. Underneath all of it is the fear of that I'm not good enough. And you're getting pushed out of the tribe. You get ostracized. You're alone. Everything you built up, your reputation's gone. Okay. This isn't vanity. This is ancient hardware. And it'll drive you to your most valorous acts, or it'll bury your entire life. Okay, I will say that too. Some of the craziest, bravest stuff I've seen is also people being afraid of not upholding what they're supposed to do for the team. Okay, me too. And I'm going to tell you guys about that a little bit later. Okay, it's the same wire. And then fear number three is the fear of events. This one's honest, things that are happening to you, like what I was experiencing there in that sniper mission, okay? The environment, the enemy, the market, the competitor. This one is one of the three that is actually about the present tense, what's happening right there in front of you, okay? So I think it's so important that you also know to choose fear. Fear is the place that you're going to grow, okay? Fear is actually the place that you're going to grow. And I will tell you that when you experience a time when you're feeling that fear, you know if you step into it, you're actually going to grow, okay? You're actually going to grow if you step into this fear. For me, I'll tell you a time that, I was on a combat deployment. I tried out for Force Recon before leaving for it, and I was actually offered to be a Force Recon platoon commander, was offered a spot to go through the training at least. I had about, almost a year of training I had to go through before I could be a Force Recon platoon commander after trying out. And so when I got offered this job, this position, I was still in combat, and the fear hits. The fear hits like, oh man, I got to go through all this. After I just went through this stuff, I got to go through that and then go to combat again. You start to wonder a little bit, right? But your identity will speak first. Is this who you are meant to be? My answer for me was yes. Okay, I needed to go to Force Recon. I mean, all the fears that stack up. Jumping out of airplanes, not being good enough, being scrutinized, graded, coached, getting in front of the enlisted instructors who are grading you to see if you're good enough to lead these Recon Marines, to lead Force Recon Marines, right? Reporting back to your command, to Force Recon, saying he's good enough, he's not good enough, right? Every day, the scrutiny. And that's not even counting the workup and then deploying again to combat. I did not step through the fear in spite of the fear. Okay? It wasn't I stepped through because I'm like, even though I know there's fear there, I got to step through in spite of it. I stepped through because of the fear. Because for me, if I didn't step through that fear, and I'm being completely honest with you guys right now, okay? If I didn't step through that fear, I would have regretted it the rest of my life because it was going against my identity. The pain of going through the fear, right, and doing the things that were scary all the time, subjecting myself to pain and hardship, was less painful than not going through, especially when I had the offer. Now, if they didn't offer it to me, they said, yeah, we don't want you. Selection assessment, you stepped up, you tried, good on you, but we're not going to offer you a position, then it's kind of easy. I'm off the hook, right? I'm off the hook. I could say, well, I tried and they didn't want me, so I don't have to go through all that crazy bullshit, right? But instead, they said, yes, we want you, because in Force Recon's a little different. They were watching me while I was in combat to see how I performed as a combat leader, because this, the company, the Force Recon company, was deploying regularly to combat and at the time, and going as a company raid force. And so they had to be very selective about who they were having in, because there were only a few of us as platoon commanders, direct action platoon commanders. And so my point is this isn't about the Ben Cool Guy stories, right? It's not that. It's about trying to give you lessons from my life about the 7 forces of ferocious optimism and how fear can destroy you, but it also can signal to you the greatness that's about to come for you. Greatness on your terms, okay? Your full potential being met. You achieving something that is connected to your identity, which it was for me, okay? Fear is how I knew I was on the right target by going to Force Recon, okay? And I soaked it up every day. Was I afraid like in dive school, combat dive school? Sure, yeah, it sucked. And there were probably some scary days too. Most of the days, no. I knew they were going to be hard, but I had confidence I would do well. There were some days your heart's beating because you knew if you don't do it, you fail. Or maybe you felt like maybe my skills aren't up to it. But then you get confident you're going. For example, jumping out of airplanes. First time you jump out of an airplane, I don't care who you are, scary. Had never done it before. Wasn't looking forward to it. I did it. I was so happy I lived. And then it wasn't so bad. But, I think there's a first time for anything. And if you haven't jumped out of your airplane yet, I don't know if I really recommend it, but it's kind of cool. Super cool when you're floating around. But when you first go out, you just like look up and you're like, oh, I'm so glad that damn chute opened. And then with the old school, whatever, T-10 Charlies or whatever they are, you just get slammed on the ground. Slammed. I mean, they just slam you. It is not like what you get later on in Force Recon or, other units where you have little things steerable and you can slow them down, blah, blah, blah. So I want to say this. No matter what, you want to keep fear close to you, okay? Don't chase it, right? I don't want you to be like this idiot who's out there chasing fear and gets themselves killed. Keep it close to you to let you know, though, to inform you. Is this a growth opportunity? Is this something that I don't want to do? I feel a little bit of fear. That means I got to do it, okay? Now, if it's like a mortal fear, like, I'm going to BMX off this cliff, and I got no business doing that, right? Doing the old Tom Cruise, I got no business doing that right now. Could I train to it? Sure. But he said he trained to it for 10 years. But it's about knowing, like, public speaking, fear. I got to do it. Okay, I got to prepare for it. I feel sick to my stomach about it. Well, that means, guess what? It's fear telling you it's time to grow. And then once you do it, you'll never feel that again. You'll be like, I've done it. I'm better. I'm stronger. Okay? Pay attention. Keep fear close to you. Don't chase it. Don't run from it. Keep it close, because fear is a proximity alarm. It goes off when you're near growth. Okay? But here's the trap I want you to see clearly. Fear will make you protect what you already have. Comfort, right? Fear will make you protect what you already have. And what you already have might not be anywhere near, not even on the same planet as, what you are actually capable of. But you take it, okay? Because it's warm, because it's safe, because it's comfortable. And you're like, I don't want to do that. That's scary. And then people will tell you. People who have your best interest in mind, and they do, a lot of them. They just want to see you happy and safe and okay, and they're like, don't do it. Don't do it. That's uncomfortable. Don't do it. You don't have to do it. Yeah, you do. Okay? You come work with me as your coach? Yeah, you do. You got to go do it. And you're going to report back. If you're in the mastermind, weekly mastermind, the inner circle, you're coming every week. We're going to talk about it. Okay? If you're in the monthly group coaching membership, we're going to talk about it month to month when we see you. And also in the DMs and also in the community in the chat. Okay? So this is the thing. If you know with your head, first of all, logically it makes sense it's logically safe to do this. Like, it's not going to damage your reputation. It's not going to damage, you, crush you financially. It's not going to, you may have risk. There might be risk, but there's significant upside. Okay. Lead with your head first, then go with your heart. Okay. I'm going to tell you, and this is controversial, and I want to get your the audience poll on this, but this is controversial. I'm going to tell you something that goes against what many people say. I'm going to take a different direction here. A lot of people tell you to always trust your gut. Okay? Give me a 1 in the chat if you've heard this before. Always trust your gut. Give me a 1 in the chat. If you've heard, always trust your gut. I want to see. Hey, Pew Pew from Arkansas. Awesome. So guys, give me, if you've heard this before, always trust your gut, put a 1 in the chat. I want to see. I want to see what you guys think. And I'm going to tell you something else here. I'm going to tell you a little variant on it. Okay. Stone sees it. Yep. EJ. Keith Riggle. Okay. A lot of always trust your guts. Anybody else? Anybody else who has been told to always trust their gut? Lady Ann. Okay. John. Yep. Okay. All right. You got some votes in there. So here's what I want to say to you. Mark. Let's see. Pumpkin McSpicy. Mark. Yep. 1. Okay. Listen to me. Sometimes your gut will be sick. Sometimes your gut will make you want to cave and crawl and hide and not want to do it. If you've ever felt deep, sickening fear, put a 1 in the chat. If you felt deep, sickening, life-threatening fear, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. I want to see. Okay? 1 in the chat if you felt deep, sickening, life-threatening fear. All right? Because here's what I want to tell you. When you felt that deep, sickening, life-threatening fear, Pumpkins felt it. Yep. Jasmine's felt it. Okay? Keith Riggles felt it. Lady Ann's felt it. You know where you feel that? Mark's felt it. You feel it in your gut. And it's sickening. Okay? If you don't have your head to regulate yourself sometimes, like I did on that sniper mission where I literally thought we were going to be killed and dragged through the streets. Okay? I'm not going through all the details here. I thought, holy crap, they're popping up on roofs next to us. They're popping in front of us. They're smashing in the barricade trying to get in. Okay? 4 of us in the middle of a city. Okay? My gut was telling me all kinds of stuff. Savage caveman stuff. My head was ruled by the Marine Corps. Okay? And my Marine Corps head was telling me to be a professional. To do and going through what needed to happen. First of all, I had to regain my thoughts and I had to breathe. Okay? Regain my head through combat breathing. Okay, breathe. My mind calmed for a minute. My heart rate slowed down. I made a decision, okay? Gave a couple commands. We're ready to rock and roll. Gave some more commands. We're ready to do what we had to do, okay? And we started doing what we had to do. The bottom line is this. Sometimes your gut will cause you to run early, to behave erratically. If you're an investor, any of my investors out there, okay? The worst thing you can do is just be swinging left and right by your gut, okay? So I hope this is valuable for you because you need to be governing things with your head, okay? If your head says go and your gut's telling you go, go. If you have conflict, okay, your head's like, I don't know, this doesn't make sense. This isn't good. And your gut's like, do it, do it. You need to slow down, Jack, okay? You need to slow the frick down. I'm just telling you, probably when I was 30, I would have told you, yes, trust your gut, go, wow, okay? In this case, but in practice, I didn't do that. When I was 30, when I was 32, when I was 34. When mortal fear struck and I was like, holy crap, there are no takebacks. I'm on a razor's edge. Wrong decision. We're dead, all dead and dragged through the streets, a la Somalia or a la, whatever, okay? Or a la Iraq when they were, getting the Blackwater guys. And also they wiped out a Marine Corps sniper team, same area we were in. And so, when you have the stakes are that high, as an investor, you can't just start slinging from the gut, okay? You need to use your head, use data. Stoicism will help you. Make them match. Head says go, gut says go, go, okay? Head with good reason. Calm head says go, gut says go, go. Conflict, resolve the conflict, okay? Execute some tactical patience. Fear can screw you up, guys, okay? Yeah, that's right, Pew Pew, exactly. Back to what I was trained to do. They trained us in hardship. They trained us in fear, trained us with, screaming and yelling and threatening, and you're going to get kicked out and embarrassment, blah, you're never going to live it, all this stuff. RD Sims, CS gas, you name it, right? You haven't slept, you haven't really eaten, you're hungry, tired. They want to get to your core and then plant the lessons. The lessons get planted. It worked. Marine Corps is pretty good. Worked. Okay, whatever they were teaching worked, stuck. And so thank God for that. Almost, Jonathan. Almost. How do we get out? Actually, quick reaction force. Truth be told. But Corporal Ramsey, if you ever watch this, Corporal Ramsey, not going to lie to you, man. Corporal Ramsey, sniper, badass sniper, killer, pulled his knife out, looked at me, was like, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. He didn't say hell yeah, he said F yeah. Okay? He was ready to rock and roll. Staff Sergeant Saxton, ready to rock and roll. All the guys ready to rock and roll, all four, right? And then I knew, because I stayed calm and I said, we're going to fight. So that's for them. They're like, hell yeah. I knew right there. I'm like, well, they're definitely not going to get us alive, and they're definitely not going to get us. We're going to win. I just don't know how it's going to go. We might get blasted in the process too. Long story short, QRF got us out of there. Thank God. Ground QRF came and we got out, which was lucky. But it almost did come to that. Corporal Ramsey had his knife out, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. So anyway, fear, guys, don't always just go with your gut if your head's in conflict, okay? I think if you can't make a decision, when people say, well, what is your gut telling you? I would ask you first, what's your head telling you? My head's telling me it should work out, but my gut's afraid. Why is your gut afraid? That's something to pay attention to too. I think it's just fear. I'm afraid of this, that, and the other thing. Resolve it, okay? Most decisions we make are not like decisions like mine where I was on a razor's edge. Most of the time you have a little bit of time, okay? You might have a day, you might have an hour. You're not literally talking about seconds like I was, okay? Or, a minute, less than a minute, which seconds felt like an eternity to me, especially when your mind's going to tunnel vision, okay? Lead with your head and with your heart, then with your heart, okay? Trust your gut, check in with your head. It'll save you a lot, okay? So, I want to say this, there's a slow motion decision to become less than you are. And that's when the fear tells you to just protect what you already have. Don't go for it, okay? Because it's warm, because it's unknown, because it's known. You stay safe and you don't go for it, okay? And this will happen too when your head tells you go. You need to do this. Intellectually, you should do it. And your gut sometimes tells you no because you're afraid of shame, criticism, failure, and losing. Okay? Now, if it's an existential loss, like things will get really hard for you and there's a lot of pain ahead, I get it. Okay? But you need to really take full account for why you're not doing something and if your fear is holding you back from reaching your true potential. Guys, it ain't going to be easy if it's worth it. If it's something worth doing and you're going to have a life-changing experience, it ain't going to be easy. Okay? Nobody said it's going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy. Probably sometimes won't be fun. It might be really exciting. You're going to grow like hell. It's going to be amazing. Okay? Yep, your gut is your second brain. It's 100%. Your gut is there's so many nerve endings down there that it forms like another neural net. You're right about that, 100% pew-pew, right? But we need them to be in alignment, just like if we're having a source. We don't launch a raid or an intelligence. We don't launch an operation based on single source information. They said he's over there. Well, we want to get corroborating information, matching information. So we had a human intelligence source say he's over there. Then we got signals intelligence. Listen to a phone call that says he's over there. He's over there. Let's go get him, right? Or we have a predator drone saying he's there. His car is there. We saw him on the feed, the predator feed. Plus a human intelligence source came and said he just showed up. He called us, said he's here. We go and get him, okay? But if one source only, in this case your head or your gut, you got to check in with both, okay? And you can do this fairly quickly. It doesn't need to be over weeks or months. It can be over an hour. It could be over 30 minutes. It could be over 20 minutes, right? But the bottom line is no decision before it's time. Don't rush it, okay? All right. So for the executives out there and leaders out there, all of you are leaders, notice that the fear of criticism is doing more damage in your organization than any competitor is, okay? Most of the time, fear of criticism. You know, this is why sometimes your people don't bring you bad news right here. It's why the meeting after the meeting is where the truth gets told. Who's been in those situations? Guys, give me a one in the chat. If you're in an organization or you've seen it, maybe not your current organization, of course not, but maybe you've seen it to where the meeting after the meeting is where the truth gets told. Give me a one in the chat if you've seen that. I've seen it. It's always everyone in the main meeting is just like, it's all good, good. I'll talk to you after. Talk to you offline. Talk to you after. We'll have a sidebar. And all of a sudden, they go back in another room, they talk, and that's where the real truth gets told, right? A lot of face saving. That's normal. Face saving, that's normal. Okay, I'm not saying that's so insidious or so crazy, so bad. But people are afraid to have candor. They're afraid to speak the truth and say what's going on. A lot of egos flying around, a lot of fear of positioning and control, all that stuff, okay? Let me see. Yeah, you guys have seen it. I got a lot of ones here. Lady Ann's seen it. Keith's seen it. Pumpkin's seen it. Mark's seen it lots. Lisa Jones has seen it. EJ's seen it. 100%. Yep. Yeah, it happens, right? That happens. So, but notice what this is doing to you and to your team. If you're avoiding the conversations, the pivot, the hire, the fire, right? Getting rid of somebody, the raise, the hard coaching conversation, you're behind wall number one, right? Fear. This is a courage problem, okay? And courage is downstream of identity, mindset, energy, and faith too. Just having faith you're going to make the right call. So we build those and the wall's going to get shorter, okay? But let's be honest about the diagnosis. If you're not afraid, if you genuinely do not know how, right? So if you're not afraid and you genuinely don't know how, no amount of courage is going to help you, honestly, okay? The second wall is all about skills, capabilities, know-how, the competence wall, okay? One of the reasons we say that you build trust through competence, okay? Integrity and capability, right? Through character and competence is how you build trust. If you have a high degree of competence but no character, nobody's going to trust you. If you got a high degree of character but no competence, you might be a really nice guy or girl, really nice person, but they're not going to trust you with the job because you don't know how to do it, okay? You need them both. Wall number two, the competence wall, needs a completely different tool. Let me jump in the chat here. We're going to talk about force number three, the mindset, in a minute. I'm going to jump in the chat. Let's see where we're at on our poll. If you haven't voted in the poll yet, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you think somebody's going to get something out of this. What holds you back from the life you truly want? 37%, low energy. Lack of clear vision and purpose, 26%. 16%, fear of failure and the unknown. Don't know where or how to start, 21%. Can you guys see some of the walls here we're talking about? Okay. Fear of failure and the unknown, that's the fear wall, 16%. Wall number two, don't know where or how to start. We're going to get to wall number three in a minute. Energy is a big one, though. If you control your energy, build your energy, protect your energy, you are gaining such an advantage, okay? And again, in my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership, and also in my inner circle, and my one-on-one clients too, we talk a lot about building energy and sustaining it. Energy, the difference in people is in the energy, always, all right? All right, guys, let's rock and roll. Let's keep on going. Here we go. So we're going to talk about force number three, mindset. Mindset is two distinct skills, directing mental focus and the combat mindset, okay? Now, I will tell you, I've been in situations in training and in combat, but especially, I would say, no, more most memorable one is in training, where my skin was cooking and I could not stop to deal with it, okay? It was a live fire event, and I could not stop to deal with it. Not a metaphor. Literally, my skin was cooking, and it taught me about probably one of the most useful things that I know about focus in the combat mindset, okay? So one of the things I say about mental focus, one of the most important things in mindset is knowing how to direct your mental focus, okay? It's like shooting on the range, okay? You focus on the front sight tip. You focus on your sights. The target blurs behind you. You're focused so intensely on the shooting process, trigger control, breath control, okay? Focusing on your front sight tip for any type of shooting. Iron sights usually. Obviously, holographic sight's a different thing. But still, manipulating your trigger control, okay? You're not focused on, especially in combat, what the enemy is trying to do to you in that second. You're not focused on the fact that they think they can win and defeat you as well too, okay? And they're actively trying to kill you. This will distract you, okay? All of it is true. It's just simply not actionable. You can't control the things like that. Attention spent on something that you can't action, that you can't take care of, is attention stolen from the shot. And the shot is everything in battle, in business, in life. The daily standard of performance, the daily procedures, okay? You got to focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. I can't say it enough. It sounds like a poster until you understand the mechanism that I'm talking about here, okay? This is not positive thinking. This is target discipline. Your attention is a finite magazine, all right? You only have so much energy every day. And every round you spend on the threat you can't influence is a round you don't have for the technique that actually is going to win, okay? Combat mindset is so important, all right? Combat mindset is actually a decision made in advance that you're willing to go harder than you've ever gone before and give more than you've ever given before, okay? It includes accepting cost up front, okay? So part of that cost is that if you're in a gunfight, you're going to get shot. You're going to get shot at, okay? If you're in a knife fight, you're going to get cut. You don't enter and then negotiate with that fact. You settle in and understand this is just the way it's going to be, right? It's kind of like the doctor that tells you this will be the worst thing you've ever experienced. And when they say it's the worst thing you're ever going to experience, you're like, okay, and you're really nervous about it and worried. And then they do it. You're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever experienced. It might have been close, but right? This is ferocious optimism. This puts the ferocious in ferocious optimism, the combat mindset. The optimism says there's a way. The ferocity is what pays for it. You're neutralizing threats. You're seizing opportunities, okay? You know, I can tell you an example of early on in my deployment with Force Recon, okay, in a combat deployment, when we were doing a direct action mission, and on the tactical questioning on site, okay, of a detainee, it led us to a suspected weapons cache, and we had to go in there. The entrance was a cave, and the cave was about 1.5 feet high. All right. The bottom line is, I saw the body language that there was apprehension to go into this cave and go get the weapons cache. So without hesitation, I threw my stuff down. Combat mindset. I know I have to set the example. I know I have to go and do this, right? And as soon as I do this, I knew everybody's going to follow, right? Or at least the people that had to go with me. Point man did the same thing. We crawl in there. We identify the cache, a bunch of RPGs, a bunch of stuff in there, RPGs and launchers, and we detonated on site afterwards. Okay, but the point being is that the combat mindset says that I'm prepared as a leader to share the danger with my men, to do what needs to be done, to make sure that I'm setting the example. I know this is part of the territory. The mission comes first. My men come first. I need to go above and beyond at all times. I need to never ask them to do something that I'm not going to do, okay? And so, again, this isn't so much about me. It's about the lesson, right? So when the point man from Team 1 went with me, and actually we were laughing in the cave together because it was like, we might get blown up. And we didn't get blown up, which was good. I had a flashlight and my knife with me, and we're probing along, right? Seeing if, making sure there are no booby traps, anything like that. And it was fine. It all worked out. We got in there. But in that cave, there's no room for what if. There was no time, okay, also because the extract package was burning fuel. So there's no time to mess around. We had to get this done and get it done fast, right? And so this is what it required. Focus is not a mood. Mental focus is not a mood. Combat mindset's not a mood. These are all the time, okay? And so I want to share with you guys some personal stories of mine where I had to focus in the moment and had to have real combat mindset. And then also on top of that, focusing on the mission. You can't just decide I'm going to focus when I'm in the mood, focus when it's not scary, focus when it's not dangerous, okay? It's a discipline, though, you can practice. The more you keep on putting your full attention on the mission. This could be your financial mission. It could be your work mission. It could be your business. It could be your personal mission to lose weight. The more you will do it, okay? Why did I make a decision like this? Any other Marine Corps officer would have done the same thing. Okay? Any other Marine leader would have done the same thing. Okay, I'm not acting like this is like wow, this is some big deal. It's not a big deal. What I'm telling you, though, is this is what I've lived, and so I'm sharing it with you, right? This is what I got for you, okay? It was like a switch, a code switch from we're in this time where the mission is starting to de-intensify. We've won. We've dominated the area. We have combat air superiority. We have ground superiority, right? I'm in charge. My raid force, my direct action platoon, we've captured the high value targets we came for, okay? Nobody had to get blasted, right? We did a really good job this night. But now there was one little hiccup. We had to destroy this weapons cache so the enemy forces couldn't get it. And there was another hiccup. It was in this cave, right? So the little hiccups. So immediately, though, because I was used to making these decisions quickly, what do? Always mission priority, mission priority, mission priority, mission priority, mission priority. Every time, right? You focus on the mission first. Like I said, mission could be your physical fitness. Mission could be your business. Mission could be your career, whatever it is. I made this quick decision without hesitation because I've practiced it. This is a discipline. Focus is not a mood. It's a discipline you can practice. This is the point, okay? And so another time that I had to have a combat mindset was in a time when I had to make a long walk during an extended firefight. Okay, I had to make a walk alone between two positions during a firefight. Okay, and we were on a stay behind mission, and it was conducted in a raid the night before. We conducted a raid the night before, and we stayed behind, hidden in a city, waiting to get this high value target that we tried to get the night before but wasn't there. So a small group of us stayed to go get this guy. The bottom line is that there are built up structures everywhere. The next morning, the primary target and the security detachment arrived in the morning, kind of to show presence, to show an ownership of this city. That was their city, it was their stronghold. After the night after we left, they thought we were gone. They didn't know we were there. Okay, we catch them cold, major firefight. We get into it. We're going at it. There's a lull, right, in the fighting. Not done yet. We still haven't gotten everything done we need to get done, right? Like the bad guy and his team are still lurking, still there. They're in between my team and my support by fire position with snipers and a small element support by fire. I need to get to my assault team. So again, making the quick focused decision to move there and to get there as directly as possible, okay? I have to leave my position by myself and basically sneak through the street in the daytime, okay? I knew if I made noise and running, I'd get blasted, so I had to sneak like a freaking ninja. And this took a lot of combat mindset, a lot of focus on knowing what I had to do, okay? And it also took some faith, too, to know that my guys were going to cover me, okay? Long story short, I got there okay, but no joke, I went right past the doorway where the bad guys were, okay? And I was ninja enough and quiet enough that they didn't hear me, and they were still hiding because they thought we were trying to blast them, okay? And so I got in there. Long story short, we ended up finishing the mission, eliminating everybody, destroying the cell, and it all worked out, okay? But the mental move there, and this is the whole point, I did not think about what bad could happen. This is the whole point of the story, okay? I needed to focus on one thing, mission, getting to where I needed to go. Not thinking about, I could get blasted. They could pop out at me. This could happen. That could happen, right? If I had run the odds honestly, I never would have taken the first step out of my covered position to go there, okay? I directed my focus onto the route. I directed my focus on my guys, on what I was supposed to do, supposed to be there for them, okay? They come first, and nothing else got attention, right? No negativity. I focused on what I wanted to get there, and not on what I didn't want, which was to get blasted, okay? So in the route, I'm stepping over bodies, okay, that from the firefight. Enemy's still active. And again, I snuck past the doorway. They didn't see me. I didn't see them. Made it, okay? Minutes later, position pops, and we get them. So I want to say, one more thing from that day too. Why was it important for me to move over there? Why was it so important? And again, combat mindset, mental focus, directing your mind on what's the most important things. I needed to get there too to buy the bullets, right? That if things get further sideways, they didn't get that sideways yet, but if they did, and they were getting froggy out in town, okay, which they already were, we're actively fighting. I need to be the one to buy the bullets, okay? This is a part of what I saw as my sacred duty, my mission, that if we need to go heavy on positions where, enemy combatants are shielding themselves with human shields, I need to be the one who's going to call in approval of these strikes to see where things are going, so that if bad stuff happens and if a lot of people got killed, I would be the one to own the responsibility, not somebody else who would carry it for 40 years, me, okay? And like I said, not my radio operator doing it, who my chief communicator was amazing, did an amazing job that day. All the guys were amazing and heroic and badass that day, okay? They won the day. They were amazing. And I'll just say, any Marine officer worth his salt would have done the exact same thing I did. Okay, it's not that big a deal. But that is what command is, right? The authority and consequence go in the same hand. If you have arranged your organization so that your decisions sit with you and the consequence lands on everybody else 2 levels down, you're not leading, okay? You're just deciding and then passing the buck. You got to decide the buck stops right here, and that's it, okay? Let's get into force number 4 here, energy. Let's get into force number 4. Thanks, Jasmine. Appreciate it. Yeah, Heather, for sure. For sure. Yep, taking risks. I appreciate you guys. And I'm not going through all the whole story here. It's not the appropriate place, right? I talk about it once in a while, but really I don't that much. Just sometimes in some private settings. Yeah, I had some amazing operators, did amazing work. We got to do some amazing work. And I had an amazing command as well, too, that covered us, too. Force number 4, energy. Energy is not motivation, guys, okay? Energy is capacity. And it's infrastructure you build years before you need it. Every story I've told you tonight, okay, was physically cashed out of an account I had been paying into for a decade, okay? None of it was available on demand, right? It was like you had to build this and build it. So I see a lot of you in the chat, right? I see a lot in this poll. We talk about energy as being the most difficult thing that's holding you back. There are ways to build your energy, right? Physical fitness, nutrition, losing some weight, getting more sleep, cutting out alcohol. I'm telling you, the combination of the physical fitness, right? The physical fitness, the nutrition, sleep, hydration, all these things will lead you to have more energy. Because, guys, I couldn't have done any of these things I'm talking about tonight. I couldn't have done them if I didn't have high energy, okay? A high degree of energy, okay? The stay behind raid, okay? Holding the position for the night, right? This was a long operation. And a major firefight the next day after we've been up for 24 hours, okay? Awake, switched on, like I said, for 24 hours. It wasn't built then. It was built way ahead of time, okay? Nothing I've talked to you guys about, not the cave, not the walk, not the restraint, not the ability to get my focus back. None of it could have happened without building the energy reserve ahead of time, okay? So because what actually degrades first in any of these situations when your energy runs is your energy, okay? It's going to run out. And when your energy runs out, your strength's going to run out. Your willpower is going to run out. Your confidence will run out. Your ability to think will run out. All these things, your judgment, your patience, your temper, okay? Your ability to hold your tongue. Wow, that can be the biggest danger we all face, right? And in my case, in those cases, the ability to follow the rules of engagement when every instinct in your body is screaming just to let it fly, right? A depleted person makes fast, cheap, ugly decisions. Give me a 1 in the chat, guys. I'm going to jump back in the chat here. I know I've been talking at you for a while. Give me a 1 in the chat, though, okay? Give me a 1 in the chat if you've ever been in a situation where because you were tired, you were worn out, you were hungover, whatever, you made some bad decisions, like burned some bridges, said some things you shouldn't say, got into a fight, could have been a verbal altercation. Because your energy was down, your sleep was down, you were just wiped out, okay? Yeah, exactly, Dan. That's good for you. Good for you. 26 years now. Wow, good for you. Yeah, alcohol too. Yep, Keith's been there. Okay. Keith's doing some truth telling right here. Who else has been there? Give me a 1 in the chat, okay? If you guys have, yeah, Jasmine, you've been there. Exactly. I always find it's like the worst fights, the worst decisions, the worst everything when you're tired, you're worn out. And I'm talking usually you're worn out over a couple of days. You know what I mean? You're tired, you're worn out, right? 1 in dumb choices, 100%, Lady Ann. Pew, pew, 1. Yep, you've been there too. Yeah, we've all been there, right? 1 times 100, EJ. Stone to actual 1. And you see what I'm saying, guys? So energy is so important. Hey, good for you. Nice job, Jasmine. 8 years sober. Congrats. Yeah. Oh, the 1 key in 20 years. Yep. Yep. I hear you, Keith. I hear you. Well, good for you guys. That's really great. You quit the drinking. Good for you. That's awesome. You know, I just find it that every time I've made hasty decisions, it could be small mistakes too. Like I send an email to the wrong address, right? I've done that before. Who's done that? That's always, that's never fun. But, you know, you make stupid little mistakes. You make a mistake in something you wrote, made a mistake in something you sent, made a mistake in a decision. You get angry more easily because you interpret what someone says to you more angrily. You have thinner skin because your energy's down, okay? So when all this stuff happens, when all this stuff goes down, your energy goes down, things go sideways faster, okay? Yeah, exactly. All right, let's keep on rolling here. So let's talk about energy and the endurance wall. Remember, wall number 3 is the endurance wall, okay? You know how. You're doing the work, but nothing is coming back yet, okay? The wall is not outlasted. This wall, the endurance wall, is not outlasted with willpower. It's just not. Willpower is a resource, and it's a small one, honestly. That wall is outlasted. This endurance wall is outlasted with energy, mindset, and faith working together, okay? The energy is what lets you keep showing up on day 400, okay? Trust me. And do the same unglamorous work, the same hard things over and over and over with the same quality as day 1, okay? So if you're stuck behind the endurance wall and you're also sleeping 5 hours a night, eating garbage, drinking to take the edge off, and training 0 times a week, you don't have a discipline problem. You have a capacity problem, and you've been calling it a character flaw, okay? You got to stop it. You got to stop the poisoning, cut off the alcohol, cut off not sleeping enough. You got to prioritize your sleep. Alcohol will ruin your sleep too, okay, as an example. Now, if you're only having a drink or two here or there, it's not going to mess with you so much, but you got to be honest with yourself, okay? When you say you're having a drink or two, is it a no kidding drink or are you pouring like, 4 shots and saying it's one drink, 4 shots with some, mixer on top of it, right? And so you have to be really honest with yourself. Your sleep is your number one weapon to win in any situation you're in, okay? It's going to help you the most to outlast, build your endurance to get over this wall, all right? So the bridge here for all of you as rising leaders and for executives too, your calendar is an energy document. You have to know that. It's not a time document. Time is evenly distributed across a day. Capacity is not. The audit question here, okay, is this. What is the hardest decision that's on your plate for this month? Okay, this month and the next month. What is the hardest decision that you have to make? And are you scheduling it into your best hour, or is it in your leftover hours? Some people procrastinate and they avoid doing the hard things, the hard decision until later on in the day. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to kick the can down the road here. I'm not going to do that until later because this isn't so much fun. I'm not going to do it. Okay. You got to put the hard things up front. If your hard thing is going to the gym, do it as early as you can. If that means waking up earlier, do it, right? If it means as soon as you get off work, you go right there, that's fine too. Do it. But as soon as you can, I highly suggest if you can start your day, get up within the first hour. I would say within the first hour, you're doing the most important work you have, okay? And like I said, if your career and your work and your job right now is requiring a lot of you, okay, make no mistake, that is the very important work, the most important work. Pay your bills, be successful, kick ass at work, all this stuff like that, okay? But now if you're trying to build a side hustle, you're trying to build something on the side, a business, a career, some artistic work, you got to schedule a block of time every day that you can work on it, where you can make these decisions. Your energy management is everything. It's so important, okay? All right, guys, let's keep rolling. Force number 5, environment. Environment is so important. Environment is the tool for that competence wall, okay? That's what I want to tell you. You don't think your way into a skill you do not have. You got to go where it lives. That means if you go to the school, you sign up for it, you sign up into a community, you get a coach, you get a mentor, you move to an area where it's filled with people who know how to do this thing, okay? This is what's important. If you are the best one in the room, I want to tell you, you're in the wrong room, all right? Make no mistake. And you already knew that, which is why it stings a little bit, okay? If you're the best one in the room, you're probably not in the right room, okay? You want to be in a place where people make you run hard to get better all the time. Or there are other people, you're all peers and very good. Everyone's good at something. And everybody is making each other better. That's what I think about this community. You guys are great in the chat, right? Best chat on YouTube, damn it. So let's talk about a little bit of escalation here, okay? Every rung in these stories I've told you about myself, these are all chosen. They're not assigned. A lot of these are chosen. It's the entire point. I wanted to keep on going to the highest and hardest environment I could, okay? I chose to go to the Naval Academy. I thought it was the highest demand environment I could get myself into at that age, okay? I thought it would make me grow, make me better. It was something that I believed I could do, but I knew it was scary. And the fear I had made me say, I got to do this. I got to master it, okay? The Marine Corps. I chose the Marine Corps because I knew it would be the greatest challenge out of everything else that I saw in front of me, okay? I fought to become an infantry officer out of the basic school. I trained, worked really hard. I had to compete, and I selected infantry because I knew, to me, that was the most challenging assignment, all right, for leadership. And then, I chose Force Recon. I chose to try out for Force Recon. I had to try out and, go to a selection and assessment. And this was really hard. The infantry was already hard, and it's already elite, right? I didn't leave because, the infantry was easy. It was already very hard, okay? I left because I could feel that there was more in me that I needed to prove. I needed to challenge myself more. I wanted to see what I was made of. And so I put myself in an environment by trying out where if I got selected, they would send me on my merry way through a pipeline of training and in a peer group of other people who wanted to be elite warriors, and they'd put you on the wild roller coaster ride and they'd flip you around, spin you around, and you'd get off and have the stories to tell, right? And you would change in the process. I tried out for this because, I didn't want to go somewhere where I felt like I was already mastering it. I wanted to go somewhere where I felt like there was such a high ceiling for me to prove myself, and it matched my vision of who I wanted to be, okay? Make no mistake that the infantry still had plenty more for me to prove. No mistake about that. But my own vision drove me to want to try out for Force Recon and to go there. So this is what you have to ask yourself. You got to ask yourself, where in your life are you feeling that calling? The calling is so important. The calling to be more, to do more, to try more. You're not done. You're not done. Wherever you are in life, you're not done yet. There's still more you can do, more you can prove, more you can learn, more you can give. There might be someone out there who desperately needs your leadership, desperately needs your guidance. They need your word. They need your wisdom. They need your experience. Okay? Or you might be that someone who's still trying to strive and get to these places, and you're still in your hero phase, right? Your growth in your hero phase where you're growing a career. You're growing in your knowledge and your skills, right? Which, by the way, we should always try and do that all the time. Okay? And the thing about Force Recon was you tried out for it, okay? They observe you afterwards, you try out, and then they watch you, and they talk to people in your command, they get recommendations, all these things like that, including they observed me in combat before they offered me to go to training, to put me through training as a Force Recon platoon commander. And then, they make the decision, but they offered that to me. And then afterwards, you have about eight or 9 months more, usually about 9 months more of training, okay, to become a Force Recon platoon commander. After you've already been an infantry officer, after you've already been through infantry, advanced stuff, you've already had platoon command, you've already had, in my case, company command, raid force command. Okay, I was already a combat veteran. And then afterwards, you have a direct action workup before combat, right? You have a workup before you deploy. The outcome of all that is that you're going to fulfill your vision. And for me, I had to take on so much, volunteer for so much more discomfort, so much more pain, sacrifice, away from family, even more, okay? To fulfill this vision quest, to fulfill this identity quest, right? To fulfill my vision, my purpose, my mission, all these things. That ain't easy. That ain't easy, guys, okay? But I'm going to tell you, it is easier if you put yourself in the right room, if you put yourself in the right environment. And that's one thing great about these pipelines is that once you try out, if you're accepted, and then you accept your slot, you're getting strapped into the magic roller coaster ride and you're going, okay? And some of you might fall out along the way, but, some of us might, but or get kicked off along the way. But you are going to have the opportunity to excel, okay? So every single one of these stories that I've told you tonight, too, was me choosing a room where I had to run to keep up, okay? Naval Academy, football, Force Recon, even stepping into the sniper mission, like, all this stuff. On purpose, choosing these rooms over and over and over again, okay? And so I think I want to be honest with you guys about this, okay? Because, it wasn't humility, a lot of these things, okay? It's like arithmetic. I knew I could not see my own ceiling from inside a room I was winning. When you're inside and you're winning, you can't really see it. It's a feeling, it's a vision, it's your identity. You need to step out of it. And the room tells you when you're in there, if you're starting to get really comfortable, you start to tell yourself, you start to feel like I'm getting pretty good at this, okay? And if you're reaching a place where you're starting to get really comfortable, then you might be stalling out, okay? You might be stalling out. You might not be challenging yourself as much as you can, okay? And I think it's really important. You don't want to stall out. You want to continue to stretch yourself, continue to challenge yourself to grow. And the only way to do that is to try new things, And so I think, let me see. And Heather's asking me, what was one lesson from your combat days changed you as a person? I think I'm telling all of them right now, in so many ways. I mean, these changed me as a person, probably all of these. I think it's a good question for sure. But I don't think it's one thing. I wouldn't say it's one thing, like all of a sudden, and I'm a changed person. All of these lessons, these 7 forces are the lessons, okay? This is what changed me as a person. The hardship, stepping up through fear repeatedly, stepping into dangerous and deadly environments repeatedly, nonstop. How did it change me? It taught me that I could. It taught me that, inside, I'd say deep inside, that, as I did before, it reinforced my identity that I was a person who figured it out. I'm a person who'll never quit. I'm a person who will figure it out. And these things reinforce that, okay? I think that too. I think also realizing fear is a very real thing and that you can get through fear. You can survive it. You can get into some of the worst situations imaginable and you can make it through. If, I don't know if you were here earlier, Heather, but if you keep your head about you, you don't quit, you have faith, you keep going, you do what you know how to do, you're supposed to do, okay? Like on the sniper mission I talked about, regain my head, make the next best decision I can, and don't quit. And also, don't quit means don't fall apart and just start going into a rage and going with my gut because I've lost my faith, I've lost my belief, I've lost my courage, so I just start raging, okay? I think combat taught me that. Combat is very humbleizing, right? Makes you very humble. I won't say humiliating. It's not humiliating, but it's humbling. Yeah, combat's very humbling because you realize a small piece of flying metal can end even the greatest hero's life. So you learn to have to strategize, think through problems, take action, take immediate action. And again, if you keep focusing on the mission and what needs to be done, you make that your watchword, action, do it now, action, 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 do it now. You learn you're going to have more success than failure, okay? But as you guys know, there's a probability thing too. In success in life overall, I think you got to take a lot of action. And you may not see great results all the time. It taught me this too, right? That I can make great decisions, I can make good decisions, but I have to go and lead with my head and then trust my gut as well, okay? If my head and my heart are aligned, I'm good, and I go, right? And I also learned that, focus and discipline are not moods. Energy is not a mood. Mission is not a mood. You do it. You just do it to your utmost every time, okay? So I think a lot of those things for combat for me, you learn also to focus on what you can control. You learn as a leader to be a servant leader, a selfless leader, because it's not always about you. In fact, it rarely is about you. The mission's bigger than you always. And you do your role. You do your job. And you do your best to serve. So I don't know. It wasn't just like one thing. Like, I learned this. It's a whole shaping and becoming, if that makes sense. In Pew Pew, I'm struggling. Thank you, Ben. My 14-year-old daughter got diagnosed with transverse myelitis. I'm so sorry. Paralysis from the waist below. I'm so sorry. She can barely walk now, but has come a long way and is in a wheelchair. She's going to overcome it, man. She can do it. Stay, just keep on it. Keep on it. It doesn't cost you anything to believe and to bring that positive energy. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're resting, okay? Be kind to yourself. Be kind to her, okay? And just do your very best. But it will be okay. It will work out. My thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family. I'm so sorry. Don't lose hope, though. Don't lose faith. Keep going. No matter what, keep going. That's the only way you have a chance. Keep going. Okay? Let's see here. Anything else? Oh, yeah, Keith. One more step. 15 miles, twisted ankles. Yep. There you go. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. All right, guys. So here's the thing. There are two environment failures, right? So if you failure number one, environment can fail you in two different ways. Number one, the obviously bad room. Easy to diagnose, hard to leave. Low standards, cynicism, bad people, people who need you to stay the same size so they don't feel bad about themselves. Everybody watching already knows if this is them, okay? You know it if you're in that right now. Failure number two, the elite room that you've outgrown. This is the one that nobody really talks about, but it's really important because it may have been elite when you got there, but then you decided you're like, I think I can do more. I think I'm meant for more. I think I want to challenge myself in another way, right? Okay? And I think this might be the room that many of you are already in, okay? So you're in a room, maybe you're already ready to outgrow it. You're outgrowing it right now. It's time to challenge yourself. So say you're performing at a very high level, genuinely high, and you still stay stuck. And you know there's another level in you. You're leaving money on the table right now, and you're leaving capability on the table. You know, I want you to check your environment and check it more than you just, check your job. See what's around you, okay? What are you putting into your mind on a daily basis outside of this stream, outside of this channel? What are you feeding it every day? Who are you actually talking to? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? What program are you in? Do you have a community? What new skills are you acquiring right now this month? Okay? And this is the hardest one. Are you elite at work and mediocre at home? Because that's an environment for failure too. And it's the one that eventually takes the whole thing down. Okay? And so how do you break wall number two, the competence wall? Say you come back to the competence wall with me, wall number two. You're not afraid. You just don't know how to do it. There's no amount of courage that fixes that. Like I said, you can't be brave enough to know something. You can't be brave enough to know something. Like you're not going to be, out courage your way to know something, right? You have to have the courage to step up and try. But then after that, you're going to have to do the work and learn the thing. The only tool that works on ignorance is proximity. You go and get physically, professionally, socially close to people who already have the skill, and you let them grade you. It's tough, not easy. Or you get in an environment that has an accountability circle, okay? Other people are positive, supportive, and uplifting and going to help you and cheer you on and support you and also offer advice when you need it. To me, that was what, going at first in the infantry was, and then what going into Force Recon was for me. And later on, going on to MARSOC and becoming a Marine Raider battalion commander, right? At the Marine Special Operations Battalion, Marine Raider Battalion. It was also what going to the Naval Academy was for me, going to play football at the Naval Academy instead of somewhere else. It was the hardest room, the best place with the most elite people I could find to like steel sharpens steel, that whole thing. It wasn't bravery, it was enrollment. So if what I just described to you, a high performer, still stuck, and you already know your environment is the problem, if this describes you, then I'm going to tell you that my membership is precisely who this membership is precisely built for you, okay? It is the room. The link is pinned in the chat. And if you want the smaller room, that's my mastermind, my inner circle, okay? With weekly direct coaching with me, the inner circle, it's the place for you. The link for that is in the description. I'd love to see you in there. We're going to be live again this Thursday, okay? We're live every Thursday, and I'd love to have you in there, all right? Let's talk about force number 6. We're rolling right now. Purpose and mission. I'm going to tell you right now, purpose and mission, purpose is the only thing that reliably overrides self-preservation. What was I thinking about when I made that long walk, sneaking down there, stepping over all the bodies, active firefight? My guys waving at me like, come on, come on. I couldn't. If I started running, clap, 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 I know I would have been shot. I know it. I needed to ninja sneak my way down and count on my guys to cover me if anybody popped out, or count on my own gunfighting ability, which I'm pretty good myself. But it's better if someone else sees it first and pops them for me and saves me, right? But purpose and mission, your driving mission, your driving purpose, your personal mission is the only thing that's going to override self-preservation. Everything else negotiates, okay? In that sniper mission, a young Marine had a bad feeling about the mission, right? I took his place. I want to tell you exactly why, because it's not always, what you think. Okay? So it was exactly because of purpose and mission. It was exactly because they needed leadership on that mission. And because if it's not me, then who? And what if something happened? I'm like, yeah, you send somebody else, not me. First of all, what? No, it's not going to happen, right? Unless my battalion commander had another mission for me and pulled me away, right? If you have orders. But in that case, that was my mission. That was my place. So it's it's a situation where you have to make your mind, if not me, then who? And part of my personal mission was to uphold my oath and my sacred duty to my men at all times, right? My personal mission, not just my Marine Corps mission, which was, obvious. Okay? We had mission to do there. And this is where it comes all the way around, because that is the mission I opened the show with, right? We talked about that at the very beginning, the alkaline taste in my mouth. And that is the mission when I got compromised and surrounded. It was probably still one of the scariest times of my life. Now, I would tell you that long walk, that whole stay behind mission, that mission, long firefight, lots of fighting, lots of crazy stuff. And the story goes on and on and on. I haven't even touched the surface. I've touched the surface, but I haven't even really gone into it yet, okay? The nitty-gritty details. But had I not gone on that first sniper mission where I felt that intense, crazy fear, I don't think I would have done as well on the next deployment, on that other mission, right? The other special mission where we stayed behind the city, hiding, waiting to go get some bad guys, okay? And so sometimes, we take on these daunting, dangerous, hard, scary, outer body experience type of missions and work. We've all been there. We've all done it in our own way, okay? You don't have to be talking about what I'm talking about. Just my illustrated example to teach you guys this lesson. I'm trying to pass on this lesson of these seven forces of ferocious optimism. But the hard work you do now and the hardship you're going through now, aligned to your purpose and mission, will prepare you for even greater things you can do later. Trust me, okay? The better part of courage is having done a thing before. Famous saying, mark my words. If you've done it once, it's hard and scary. Do it the second time, not so hard and scary. Third times, you start to master it, okay? Start getting better, all right? Again, the better part of courage is having done a thing before, okay? So this comes all the way around. I want you to hold both of these things at once, right? Taking my guys, that Marine's place, is the reason I know what that taste is. I never would have known. I never would have become better enough for that mission later. And obviously I would do it all again tomorrow. So underneath every mission I ever went on was one thing. Uphold my oath, like I said. Uphold my sacred duty to my men. Do the absolute best I'm capable of. And it was never about me. It was about my men and the mission, okay? And I believe this completely. Take care of your men, take care of your people, and they will take care of the mission. Okay? Every time. Every time. That's not softness. Damn right it's not softness, okay? Because they are the ones taking care of the mission. All right? And if somebody's not taking care of the mission, you're going to straighten them out, right? But that is the highest yield thing a leader can do with his or her attention, okay? And so if I didn't have the purpose and the mission and the drive and the focus on this thing of upholding my oath, my service, taking care of my men first, taking care of my men and the mission. It's both at the same time, okay? Sometimes you're doing the mission, you are taking care of the men. And you take care of the men, you're going to take care of the mission. They're going to take care of the mission every time. But if I've been thinking about self-preservation, I never would have made that walk. I never would have been there, right? If I've been reasoning logically about self-preservation, am I okay? If I'm negotiating with myself, fear is entering into the subject, not just mission focused. I'm talking in your daily life, right? When you get lazy and you're like, well, I don't know if I should do it. Mission. If you do focus on mission, you're going to do it, right? Well, it's getting late and I'm tired and it's been a long day. Mission, focus. I don't know if I can get up that early. Mission. Get up and do it. You do it, okay? When you got a job to do and you got a goal to hit, don't negotiate with yourself. Cristiano Ronaldo said this, right? We went inside one of our live streams on a Friday. He said he never negotiates with himself. When there's a work to do, a training to do, he does it. It doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter how hard it was. You do it. Mission focus. Okay, and I'm giving you guys my real life examples of what has served me well since then. And Heather, this answers your question about what did I learn? What were the biggest things? These are the biggest things. I'm sharing them now. Okay, and it's not just one single eureka moment. Okay, other than I know what flooding of adrenaline tastes like in my mouth. That was fun and scary, right? Tastes like licking batteries. If you lick a bunch of batteries, that's what it tasted like. Alkaline taste in my mouth. I never knew what it was. I just knew it was associated with the scariest time I ever had in my life, right? So, the only thing that's going to override self-preservation is purpose and mission. That's it. A deep driving purpose is not a nice to have for anyone. You don't have to be a Marine. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be special operations. You don't have to be Marine infantry, blah, 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 law enforcement, whatever. You don't have to be that. It is the only engine strong enough that's going to run against your own survival instincts. Mark my words, okay? It is the only thing strong enough. It's going to run against convenience, comfort, approval, quitting on month 14, quitting when the money's running out. Instead of finding more investors, finding more money, making a sale, keep going, okay? Being ferociously optimistic, saying, well, okay, most people will quit and say, this is terrible, I'm doing terribly. The ferocious optimist says, hey, not so bad, I made some improvements. This is better. I'm still in the fight, okay? And this is also where passion and vision comes in. It's all intertwined in there, okay? Purpose, mission, passion, vision. Okay, so you have to have this vision. It has to be connected to your identity. The passion, the vision, the purpose, the mission, all connected, creating a real desire and real intentions, your deep driving intentions. Okay, to have that vision and have a picture that's specific enough that you'll do anything. You'll go through anything to uphold your sacred duty, to fulfill it to yourself, whatever your personal mission is. Okay? And it's specific enough you can paint it, you can see it, you can taste it, you can feel it. In the Bible, it says, a people without a vision shall perish. That's not poetry. That's mechanism. This is real stuff. Without a picture of where you're going and who you want to be, guys, take the time and do this. Trust me, take the time and do it. Have the vision, envision it. Give yourself permission to imagine. Give yourself permission to imagine who you want to be. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care if you think it's the beginning or if you think it's the end. I don't care if you've been through hell or it's been easy. Okay? You got to have a vision, purpose, mission right now. Decide. Decide. Okay? Without that picture of where you're going, there is nothing to override the instinct to stop. Okay? And the bridge here, for all of you, for executives, for leaders, purpose is the one thing that makes it hard. Okay? It makes it hard, unrewarded work, sustainable. If your deep driving purpose, your deepest driving intentions are connected to what you're doing and flow from your purpose and your intention, okay? It's going to make all the unrewarded work sustainable. You're going to keep going. All right? Compensation, making some money, getting some reward for it, it's going to keep you attentive. Sure. But purpose will buy all of the effort, even when it's not coming. Intention, vision, passion will keep you there when nothing's growing. It will make you like Chinese bamboo. You will be like the Chinese bamboo, growing the roots when there are no results coming. Okay? The daily practice. This is a daily practice, a daily focus. It's not an annual offsite. All right? You got to practice this daily. You don't find purpose once. You point at it every morning. Visualize, review your goals, write your goals down, see them, pray about them, ask for help, envision what you're trying to accomplish, okay? You want to ask yourself, what in your life is worth walking through fire for, right? What in your life is worth What vision, what dream do you have? What purpose, what mission is worth you putting it all on the line to achieve? Because I'm telling you, if you haven't figured that out yet, we got some work to do. Okay, I know we did some work on this last week, but I want you to write that down right now. Okay? Write it down right now. What in your life is worth you walking like me, having to make that long walk, exposed to the enemy, all right? And in this case, walking through fire, walking through fear, through danger, putting yourself through hardship. What is worth it? If I told you tomorrow, if you do these things, you're going to accomplish it, what would you be willing to give? What would you be willing to do? Okay? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? Right? What would it be? I'm telling you an old saying, Coach Richard Bell, again, if it is to be, it's up to me. My linebacker coach at Navy, God rest his soul. If it is to be, it's up to me. If it is to be, it's up to me. Guys, thoughts become things. Manifestation is real, okay? And I don't mean it in the mamsy-pamsy way. I mean it in the thought, vision, purpose, mission, writing down goals, working, unleashing your intentionality, okay? Having a deep driving purpose. Then you will create the things. You will manifest it, okay? You will be like that story of the Chinese bamboo. You will grow. It'll happen. You put in the work, day on, stay on, never quit, commit and never quit. You will get there, okay? It was worth it to me to be there for my guys, to uphold my oath and my sacred duty, to be there for them, to serve the mission the best I could. It was worth my life for me, okay? If you can't have something in your life where you're willing to go all in on from this point forward, and I don't mean you have to go nuts tomorrow, but I want you to decide and say, what am I going to go all in on? What am I going to go all in on? When am I going to test this baby out? When am I going to test this machine out? When am I going to test this head out? When am I going to test what I'm made of? What am I going to go all in on? What am I waiting for? It's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. It's going to be scary. Okay? All that stuff. But you will grow and you will get better. You're going to step into fear and step through fear. And you're going to do hard things. And you're going to go through wall number one, go over wall number one, fear. And you're going to go over and around wall number two, which is competence, gaining the skills and abilities. And then you're going to go through wall number three, which is endurance. You're going to keep hitting the wall, digging under the wall, building a ladder over it, or finding a way around it until you succeed. It will come. Guys, mark my freaking words. Hear me now, thank me later. You're going to send me a message and say, Ben, you were right. A year from now, 2 years from now, you're going to say, Ben, you were right. Okay? You were right. You were totally right. Amen to that, Keith. The guy next to you is always worth the infantry. Amen. Amen. 100%. And that's how it is. But the thing is, you want to carry this to now. One of the biggest breaks I had is when I left the military, right? I left. Once I retired and got out. Identity. Talk about identity drop. I didn't even know who I was anymore. Very scary. And I'm not even talking about that much right now. But a big thing was I suffered one of my worst times when I got out, feeling adrift. So what did I do? I quickly made a new mission. I quickly had a new vision and got a new goal. Was I scared? Yeah. Yeah, I was. Did I feel lost a bit? Yeah. Yeah, I did. Okay. It was a tough time transitioning, getting out. Identity, like we talked about in the beginning, is so important. Don't attach your identity to anything that can be taken away from you or that you don't control. Attach your identity to qualities and to actions like will never quit. Okay? My identity is someone who never quits. I have the identity of someone who always figures it out. Okay? To quit, to surrender is to fail. This is the Recon creed. It's a pretty good creed. Pretty damn good identity. Okay? To quit, to give up, to surrender is to fail. To be a Recon Marine is to surpass failure. Identity. Why do we have that creed for everyone to say that? So they remember in the dark hours who they are. They remember who they're supposed to be. Okay, I want you to remember who you're supposed to be. Because if they knock you sideways, life knocks you sideways, you're like, you know what? To quit, to surrender is to fail. I will not fail. I will never surrender. I will never quit. I will never give in. That's it. I might fail. You might get me. Oh, well. Not going down without a fight. That's for damn sure. No way. Ain't me. Nope. Not happening. And then you can settle in. Be like, yeah, okay, we'll bring it then. Because I'm going to fight to the end. And I'm going to give everything I got every day, all the time. Until I win or the lights go out. One or the other. Right? It ain't going to be so easy. Ain't going to be so easy to get me. And that's what you got to say to yourself. Okay? That's what you got to say to yourself. Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. Aaron's a great guy. So remember this, okay? You got to have your vision and your purpose. Practice it daily. And let's talk about the last force, faith. We're going a little long right now, but it's okay. Faith is the one that binds the other six together, okay? It's what you run on when the evidence has not yet arrived, all right? That's going to happen. And the evidence is almost never there when you need it, okay? When you need it, it's almost never there. That's when you got to have faith. I've been adding to this framework for years, okay? Faith is the one I added last just now. I bound it all together. I added this a couple months ago. And I added it because without it, I could not honestly explain how I'm still here, okay? The four faiths for me is faith in God, obviously. Faith in my men, the people to my left and right. Faith in myself that I will figure it out and I'll never quit, okay? Even if I can't see how yet. Faith in the plan, that this hardship is on the path and not off of it, okay? And also not blind faith with the plan, though. I'm constantly adjusting, getting intelligence updates, looking to see, do I need to adjust? Do I need to make micro adjustments, okay? Do I need to do some adjustments here and there? All right, but this is the faith you need to have. Faith is a discipline. You choose it, okay? Without it, you're not going to survive. Faith to me is what made restraint possible in that one sniper mission, okay? It made restraint possible. Faith is also, other times, what made us hang in there because we knew we were going to get somebody or made us go someplace, that it would all work out. Maybe crawl into the cave. Many other stories too, okay? Faith that it's going to work out, okay? Faith when you start taking casualties, ammo counts start coming back saying, starting to get lower on ammo. You're going to need faith, okay? Hearing those calls sometimes will surprise you. Or you start seeing your bank accounts going down. Debts are going up, right? You got to have faith you'll figure it out. Faith that you will find the expenses and eliminate them. Faith you will be able to earn some more money. Faith you will get control of your spending habits, your eating habits, your whatever, right? And then take the action, because faith without works is dead, okay? So the point is there's not a lot you can always control. On some of these combat missions I talked to you guys about, loosely, some just the wave tops of them, you can only have faith that you and your men are going to figure it out, or that you're going to get support, that you're doing the right thing, okay? And so, I will say as well, too, you need to have faith when everything you can't control starts falling apart around you, okay? You start losing loved ones. In my case, you start losing people, okay? Professionally, things start not going as well as you want them to in your job, in your business, okay, in your career. And I can go on and on and on with these examples, okay? But that's when you have to really reach down and have faith and to realize that it's going to work out. I'm going to figure it out. Go back to your identity, okay? So, because a lot of the times nobody's going to make a documentary and say something really, they're not going to find something you had to have faith about really sexy sometimes, okay? Sometimes it's faith that you grinding it out is going to work out. Faith that you applying for all these jobs is going to work out, okay? Faith that You're going to have the courage to have the hard conversation, and then it'll work out if you have to end things, okay? Faith that if you walk away from this job, you're going to be okay. Faith that if you start the business, you've done your due diligence, you've done the work, you're going to figure it out and you're going to win, okay? So most of the hardest work of your life will be like that, unwitnessed, unglamorous, and it will require exactly the same combat mindset as the thing that would make a highlight reel. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. Some of the hardest, scariest things are the mundane, right? Financial pressure, financial stress, a loved one getting sick. I know many of you in the audience know about that, right? A loved one getting sick, you being sick. Okay, I could tell you guys a story about me getting very sick, okay? And having to keep operating anyway, having faith that I would figure it out when I was very weakened, okay? I know about these things, and it's hard. My hardest tour is my battalion command tour. Not on the same scary level as the sniper mission or on other combat missions or as, when I was a Force Recon platoon commander, but it was so complex and difficult, and because I was losing people and I couldn't control it, I couldn't protect them. Getting killed in combat, losing people in training accidents, helicopter crashes, you name it, okay? And then on top of that, having one of probably the hardest professional time I ever had, okay? With very unglamorous, unsexy stuff, but very hard stuff, okay? That required my full attention and full energy, all right? So I want to tell you that the unglamorous, unwitnessed things is where you're going to need the faith more than ever. You're going to have it because that's the main job. That's the main thing. You got to keep going, all right? And like I talk about losing identity. When I lost my identity in football, I rebuilt it again as a Marine in infantry, Force Recon, Marine Raider officer, Force Recon officer. Then I retired. I wasn't putting the uniform on anymore, okay? The question that follows a man out the gate and followed me out the gate is, what am I now? And this is where faith comes in, okay? If I'm not leading Marines, I'm not in the fight, I'm not building Marines, what am I supposed to be? Who am I now? And I'm not going to lie to you guys, okay? I'm not covering every base here, every detail, because some of it's too much for here, and it's a lot to talk about, okay? But I will tell you, what you feel is you can feel a worthlessness. When you attach your identity to something like that, and you start drifting and you wonder, what am I supposed to do now? What am I now? You feel this worthlessness. These are dark times, okay? Very dark times. And I know some of you have been there before. I've been there. I know many veterans, a lot of veteran stories that go through this door. Substance abuse, okay? Worse, darkness, not wanting to be here anymore, all that stuff. You know the terrain. You've seen it, okay? I've seen it. I've lived it, okay? The deep driving purpose is what will save you. The desire, the vision, the intention. You got to find your passion again. If you're in this situation right now, you need to get clear. If I could do anything, what would I do? What am I good at? What do I like? What am I curious about? What's my passion? Okay? What do I want my vision to be? And start working on it. Okay? Start working on it. And I'm going to tell you, if you can make progress in one area of your life, your physical fitness, your energy, your drinking, your sleeping, okay, your finances, your expenses, your bills, whatever, one area, fix one area, and it will have a cascading ripple effect to all the other areas. And lo and behold, you will see, I did this. Now what else can I do? I can do this too. And I can do this too. And I can do this. You can freaking do it all. If you believe, you fully visualize it, and you achieve, okay? You're going to have to apply a positive mental attitude. And you're going to have to apply the 7 Forces of Ferocious Optimism. All these things I'm talking about. Have that solid identity of know who you are. Tell yourself who you are. Okay? I'm the one who never quits. I'm the one who figures it out. I'm a fucking badass. Okay? You say these things to yourself. I'm a warrior. I'm going to get this done. Okay? Your relationship to fear. Knowing what fear is. Knowing to step into fear. Your mindset. Focus your mind on what you want and what you don't want. Direct your mental focus. on what you're trying to achieve, not on the things you don't want. Having a combat mindset, okay, and being resilient. Positive self-talk. Ask better questions, you get better answers. Build your energy. Improve your environment. Have a deep driving purpose. Know what your purpose is and make it inspire you. Have something you're curious and interested in. You don't need to tell anybody about it. You can keep it as your secret weapon. Let it drive you, okay? Have a vision. Look at the vision. Choose to believe in it. Why not? Doesn't cost you anything. Give yourself permission to believe in the vision. And then you got to have faith. You got to have faith. And I'm telling you, this is how I rebuilt myself after getting out, okay? The vision formed for me. The business started. My business started. Layer after layer. Combat mindset. Fear. Energy. Identity. Environment. Courses. I studied. I practiced. I went speaking in so many places, okay? I worked with so many people. I've got tens of thousands of hours of coaching, all right? I've worked with industry leaders in every industry almost you can imagine, okay? Celebrities. If I say their name, you'd know them, okay? I've been doing this so long now, and I was afraid every step of the way. Fear was pushing against me to stop, to be afraid, okay? And I knew, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I'm not where I want to be yet, okay? Did I take myself off course a couple times? Did I mess up? Sure I did. Make mistakes? Sure I did. Pick myself back up, get back on track, okay? Because I kept on having faith that wrapped it all up that, okay, yeah, it's not working right now. It wasn't that good, but I know I'm going to figure it out. I know it's going to get better. I'm going to do it, all right? 8 years of doing this full time. Ups and downs, financial hardships, big wins, big losses. Went through a divorce, okay? Faith the whole time. Faith in the way. Faith that there is a plan and that there's a plan for me and that I also have a vote on the plan and I'm on the right track and I'm going to figure it out, okay? And I want to say too, if there are any veterans right now who are in that place and watching tonight, you're in that exact place, okay? Or any of you for that matter. First of all, I want you to know that, you can get help. You can always get help, right? If this is hitting you and you're like, man, I need to get help, there's the Veterans Crisis Line. You can call that, okay? You can go and get help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. In fact, I encourage it. It will help you. Makes a big difference. It takes a very brave person to step up and go get help. It takes a very organized person and a leader to do that too, all right? And I want to say that this whole segment is not on darkness. This is on purpose, on mission, on vision, on faith, that you can do it and you will do it, okay? That's what rebuilt things in my darkest time. And I'm going to tell you, throughout my career, going to combat, in the military, there were ups, there were downs. In life, great ups, great downs. You build, get knocked sideways, get knocked down. Build, get knocked sideways, get knocked down. Your identity taken from you, okay? Or tried to. But the way you keep going is vision, purpose, mission, faith, identity. These 7 forces of ferocious optimism will always help you to rebuild, push through the fear again, and get back on track to where you want to go, okay? And I want to leave you with the bamboo because it's the answer to the wall that is beating most of you, okay? You plant the seed, you water it. You're 1-0, you're 2-0, you're 3-0, you're 4, nothing above the ground you can see. Anyone watching would point and tell you to stop. And you'd be hard-pressed to argue with them, right? We talked about this before. And then it comes up the next year and it goes 90 feet, shoots up. And everyone who watched you water the dirt for 4 years calls it an overnight success. Wow, how'd you do it? The whole time it was building roots, okay? That is not a nice thought, not a pretty little story. That is a description of what was physically happening while you saw nothing. That's what's physically happening. If you're in that spot right now and you're doing the work, okay, and you're seeing no results, good things are happening. Make no mistake about it, okay? So when you're sick to your stomach because the money's not there yet, when the anxiety is up because you've been at it for 2 years and you've got skills and flashes of progress but no harvest, you're not failing. Remember that. You are rooting. You're building and digging. You're putting in roots, deep roots. And the only thing that will get you across that particular wall is energy. mindset, and faith. They're all held together by an identity that says, I am the one who keeps going. I am the one who finishes. I am the one who never quits. Okay? That is it. That is it in a nutshell. And if tonight you can't find any of it, and if it's all dark and you don't know a single thing right now, then here's your order. Here's what you got to do, okay? Let it go. Just stop for tonight. Have faith. Go get some PT. Drink some water. Face outboard. Take a knee. Should sound familiar to some of you. Protect your sleep. Get some good sleep. Give yourself a break and do the best you can right now. You will figure it out. You can figure it out and you will, okay? Do the best you can today so that tomorrow you can do even better. One step better, okay? And that, my friends, is not quitting. That is a commander protecting the force, your force, okay? So it can fight tomorrow. And you are the force, right? Everything I gave you tonight is the framework we run inside the Ferocious Optimist membership. If you want to be in that room, okay, with the reps and the accountability, instead of one great night of content, the link is pinned and it's in the description. Okay, it's in the chat right now, but it's also in the description. If you're interested in doing the transformational work, the rapid transformation of my weekly mastermind in the inner circle, the link for that is inside the description. And if you're interested in doing my one-on-one strategic advisory, you want to get me as a one-on-one coach, and you want to get into my strategic advisory, go ahead and book a no-fee discovery call with me. The link is inside the description right now, and we'll get on there. We'll see if it's a good fit, and we'll figure it out. All right? So, guys, we went a little bit over tonight. It was absolutely awesome. It's so great to be here with you guys tonight. I will be back on Wednesday, and I hope you guys are all able to come on Wednesday because we got a great show, okay? We got a great show on Wednesday. We got Rear Admiral, retired, Mike Studman coming, okay? And he's going to be talking about China. He's a China expert. Got a really special guest for Wednesday, Warrior Wednesday. So hope to see you guys all back very soon. Such an awesome time to be here with you guys tonight. You guys are the best chat in YouTube. Like I always say, make yourselves better, make the world better. Have an amazing rest of your week. Until I see you Wednesday. All right, be here on Wednesday, Warrior Wednesday, and go get yours. I'll see you all very soon. Take care.